Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
I heard a while ago about preventive and corrective justice. Can you please expound on corrective justice?
There are already systems in place, but this system need revisiting because for one reason or another, they contribute to the conditions for corruption to thrive. In the case of the procurement law, Your Honor, my understanding of the formally case, I think that's still pending, is that we have weak systems. That is why things of that magnitude could happen. And therefore, we need to correct what is wrong in the system. The other thing, Your Honor, is I have also attached to my action plan. I propose interagency council on good governance. I hope that the Ombudsman, in tandem with the COA, the Civil Service Commission, the Philippine Competition Commission, the DBM, can work together. Even now, yesterday we have the AMLA news. Yeah. We can probably do something on correction here. Because otherwise, why does this kind of things happen despite years? Corruption has been there for a long time, but why is it? What is COA doing? What is civil service doing? So we have to break the impression that there is complicit participation of agencies by getting our acts together and jointly work to address the flaws in the systems that continue to enable corruption to continue.
Judge, you've mentioned about the formally controversy. In pursuit of your corrective justice, can you please identify to us what particular system which is existing needs to be revisited in order to realize the corrective justice that you pronounce?
This involves procurement, Your Honor. How could it happen that this volume of medicines, the quality, and the accounting of this, how could that have happened? What is wrong? We have enacted a procurement law. I still have to study that very carefully. We have enacted a procurement law that is supposed to address these situations so that these things could not happen. So it has to be a holistic approach on perhaps an overhaul of the law. We need to look into that so that we can address this, because we need to do a lot of explaining to the people. How could that have happened?
So the system that you are referring to with regards to the formally is the procurement system that they utilized during that time.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Earlier, you likewise mentioned that the DNR exercised the regulatory power, while the NRDC exercises the corporate power.
Yes, Your Honor.
May we be enlightened what specific engagements or projects have you launched in line with the mandate of NRDC?
Your Honor, the programs that we now have with NRDC involves reforestation through the Bukidnon Forest Incorporated, which is a subsidiary. The goal there is to be able to reforest and at the same time harvest this for the wood industry and also the carbon credits derived from this. We also have, Your Honor, the Palawan Wildlife Rescue and Center, which is to preserve endangered species, let them increase, and then for them to be returned back to their original habitat so they can help maintain the ecological diversity and balance that it is needed. The Philippines, Your Honor, is one of the 17 biodiverse countries. And the Palawan Rescue Center and is our flagship project to continue to maintain the biodiversity of this country. The main product of that center, Your Honor, is crocodile farming, because this is an endangered species, and we need to endangered species, and we need to propagate them so that they can be returned to their original habitats and contribute to biodiversity. The other project, Your Honor, is the PCB project in Bataan. This is a treatment plan in tandem with the United Nations Development Organization. Transformers that were manufactured before 1980 contain some chemical elements that are carcinogenic or contribute immensely to cancer. And so many operators, electric cooperatives and electric companies have a lot of this, but they do not have a treatment plan so that they can be cleansed of this. The idea here is not necessarily to raise revenues, but the purpose is more than raising revenue because it is a health hazard. The other thing, Your Honor, with the NRDC is we are the asset manager of patrimonial properties. Those that have been declared by the Supreme Court as patrimonial properties, or those that have been turned over to the DNR by the Philippine Reclamation Authority, all of these are being managed by the NRDC. The Philippine Mining and Development Corporation, which has not performed well, and also a subsidiary of our corporation, which we are about to collapse because a lot of issues. The NRDC is supposed to take over the mining claims of mining claimants who were not able to pursue them and make it earn for the government. Of course, concomitant to that would be the responsibility to cleanse the mining tailings. And therefore, we are engaged also in research on how to do that, Your Honor.
All right. So, in line with your mandate to preserve and propagate biodiversity, how do you think this very distinct experience of yours will be able to contribute in addressing the mandate this time of the Ombudsman?
The operation of NRDC, Your Honor, is a corporate governance. The dynamics of a corporate governance, and I believe that the values of transparency, accountability are values that are elements of a good stewardship of the office of the Ombudsman. I hope to bring the discipline of transparency and accountability in public governance also to the Ombudsman.
Judge, it appears from the records, this is my second question. In 2010, the Supreme Court reprimanded you for undue delay
Yes, Your Honor.
in deciding a case which was submitted for resolution but decided only after 15 months
Yeah.
instead of 90-day reglementary period. May we know what lessons did you learn from this incident?
Your Honor, that is a lapse because we could actually ask for extensions if we cannot do it within the 90-day period. But at that time, Your Honor, I am an undermanned court. I do not have a clerk of court. My legal researcher is also my clerk of court and my interpreter. We do not have, we have only 3 stenographers. So you can understand the role that I am playing. I preside hearings, I write decisions, I manage my court, and I have no clerk of court to help me, Your Honor. So, of course, we cannot really complain because unless appointments are made to beef up the workforce, there's not really much that we can do. But that is a lapse that could have been avoided had we have a more complete workforce. And I believe that one case, Your Honor, for the past 21 years in the judiciary, I must have received and handled about 20,000 cases. But one case I submit should not define me, Your Honor, because I am not that one. I could have done it. Had it been brought to my attention, I could easily ask for an extension of the time to resolve it.
Your explanation is well acknowledged, Judge. Now, for
Thank you,
the
Your Honor.
third question in the written output that you submitted, you described the Ombudsman as a tribune of the people, not only protecting citizens from abuses of power, but also capacitating them to claim their rights and demand accountability. Can you please expound on this?
Yes, Your Honor. Part of the responsibility of the Ombudsman is to bring the people into the table of government. But we need to do a teaching function. We need to inform and educate our people massively on the rights and inform them of the rights and government processes. And concomitant with that, Your Honor, is the ability to inspire them to claim those rights, defend those rights. And the only office, I believe, that could help them achieve that is the Ombudsman as the national integrity leader and role model of good governance. So, if we can bring the people into the table of government and make them active participants in the crusade against corruption, not just a recipient of justice, then probably there is hope for our beloved country. Hope for a better days to happen in the future.
You mentioned that by tribune of the people, you would like to bring them in the table of the government, educate the people on how they're going to claim their rights. that is really very idealistic, Judge.
Yes, I know
But
that,
the
Your Honor.
question is, what programs and reforms are you going to introduce to the existing system of the Ombudsman for us to realize that the envisioned tribune of the people?
Of course, my overarching framework is the NIROLEP, the National Integrity and Rule of Law Enhancement Program. But corollary to that, Your Honor, I hope, and I have discussed this already with the President of UP, that if I become an ombudsman, can we establish the UP Center for Good Governance? Because educating the people is a massive, in fact, the president of UP tells me it is a quixotic responsibility. But happy are those who dream dreams, but are willing to pay the price to make those dreams come true. And if we can establish a UP Center for Good Governance, where civil society, the religious, the Kokopeya, the Coordinating Council for Private Educational Association can come in and work together, then probably there is hope that we can achieve this.
In your vision that the Ombudsman becomes the tribune of the people, if given the chance to be appointed as the next Ombudsman, Judge, would you advocate that the SALN be open to the public without any restriction?
I would support that, Your Honor. I would support publishing the SALN because that is a mechanism, Your Honor, for an effective mechanism for transparency and effective signal to the people that the government means business in this fight against corruption.
But of course, while the complainant are entitled to due process, the public officials are entitled as well. So how do you think will you protect the right of the public officials whose SALN will be publicized in order that this will not be used as a weapon against them by their political rivals?
Your Honor, my limited concept of public service is when you accept public position, you open yourself to public scrutiny. And part of that is opening your SALN. In fact, the injunction of the Constitution on Article 11, Your Honor, is that a public officer must at all times be accountable to the people, serve with utmost responsibility, integrity, loyalty, and efficiency, act with patriotism and justice, and live modest lives. That is the injunction of the Constitution. Let us make that injunction alive in this present day and age when a lot of money are being stolen.
Judge, would you advocate as well that the Ombudsman be granted the power to subpoena bank records without relying at all from the order of the court?
Well, Your Honor, this time I use a judicial frame of mind. I need a case to be able to subpoena the bank records. That is my understanding. But AMLA can do all the work it can. And in the interagency cooperation between Ombudsman and various government agencies, maybe we can explore a mechanism where there could be joint sharing of data on this. Your Honor, the problem we are trying to solve is an enormous problem. It is the problem that hinders this country to grow. And therefore, let us do everything possible within the realm of law and order to do what is necessary.
As last item from the same line of thought, would you advocate that the Ombudsman be granted its own power as well to issue freeze order?
That can be studied, Your Honor. That can be studied very carefully. Because if at all, Your Honor, it has to be used sparingly, if at all. If at all. But the general idea here is we have a very antiquated law on asset recovery. I think that was an old law already. Perhaps Congress needs to come out with new law on asset recovery. And an ancillary remedy in asset recovery can be the freezing of assets.
But if you will be given the chance to propose a legislative measure in your capacity as, let us say, the future ombudsman, would you initiate one that grants the ombudsman?
I would not want to close the door for that, Your Honor. I am open to that if it is necessary and compelling on the circumstances of a case.
Next question, Judge. We have witnessed a lot of incidents when star witnesses are recanting their own testimony. How do you think are you going to address the present witness protection mechanism system in order to avoid recantation of testimony?
That is why, Your Honor, yes, Your Honor, that is why the UP Center for Good Governance will look into all of this, taking into their lens the use of forensic evidence, the whistleblower protection program, the identification of red flags. All of this will be part of a holistic approach on this. But the signal should be clear that this time we want to do the right thing. And everything that will contribute to that should be promoted.
For my last question, Justice Turgano.
I'm not a justice, Your Honor.
Judge.
I was only a judge.
Prinomote
I
na
hope
po
so.
kayo.
I hope that could have happened, Your Honor, but it did not.
Okay. There is an ombudsman rule that is 2022, which says that the committee reports of Congress should be subjected to case build-up for 60 days, extendable to another 30 days. And that the same should not be considered as an adversarial proceeding and should not be docketed yet. However, Judge, that rule has been changed in 2025 because under the 2025 rules, once received, the committee report shall be immediately docketed and the same shall be calendared for PI, preliminary investigation, immediately. So if given the chance to be the next ombudsman, may we know which rule will you adopt?
I need to educate myself thoroughly on that, Your Honor, to be sure that we are not violating any due process protection for the affected public official. I'm open to exploring a solution to that possible conflict, Your Honor.
That is my last question, Judge. Thank you and good luck on your application.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Honor, Congresswoman Luistro.